I was recently driving my car at night, and it kind of occurred to me when these bright beaming spotlight looking headlights just absolutely burned a hole through my retina, that is it just me, or are cars getting headlights that are brighter nowadays? Are headlights too bright on cars? What's changing here? Because, you know, I used to commute to my old office in Sheffield, which is about an hour away from where I live in Huddersfield, and driving back on the M1 and other big roads as well, where you'd see an absolute sea of cars coming up the other side of the road with bright headlights. It just seemed to destroy my eyes, and I feel like it's getting worse. But is that the case? Are car headlights too bright, and are they getting worse? And if so, why? Well, I found a really interesting survey here on the RAC's website, which is, if you're not from the UK, the RAC is like the AAA in America, or, you know, your roadside assistant equivalent, basically. The people who come to help you when you have an accident. And there's some really interesting data on here. So apparently around 9 in 10 drivers in the UK, with 89%, think some or most car headlights in the UK's roads are too bright, with around 88% saying they've been dazzled by them when driving. And this was conducted in a survey by the RAC with around 2,700 drivers, so that's a big sample size. And I absolutely agree with this, because the amount of times that it's really bad on like country lanes when there's like a bit of a blind exit and then you are blinded by a car coming up the other side, and it's usually like a big SUV or a modern car that's doing this. And if anybody saw, and I can't find the actual advert, but there was an advert done by, I think it was Audi. I know it's one of the German car manufacturers, one of the big ones. It's either them or Mercedes or BMW. I'm pretty sure it was Audi, where they were advertising how bright their headlights were on their new SUV by doing a nighttime shot of a car in a field with its headlights on and a cow in front of it, and you're able to actually see the insides of the cow, that the headlights are so bright. Which, I get that's an exaggeration, they can't actually do that, but oh no, it was Mercedes. I found it here. Yeah, I mean, that's disgusting. I don't implore that you look that up, but it's ridiculous. Like, can you imagine what that'd be doing to your eyes coming up the other way? It's just ridiculous. So let's have a look at some of the more data in here. So the problem of glare from headlights appears to be getting worse, with 63% of drivers who get dazzled saying it's happening more often than a year or two ago, with 1 in 4, 23%, claiming they're now dazzled a lot regularly. And of all those who believe headlights are too bright, 64% believe they're a risk of causing accidents. And around 2 in 3, 67% say they can't tell if the headlights of oncoming cars are dipped or on full beam. I can't tell either. Honestly, there are some times when it seems like the full beam, but I don't think they are. They're designed in such a way that they're very bright looking down, and if they're coming from above, like if you're coming on a bridge or something like that, they just seem to burn a hole through your soul. It's incredible. I do think there's a bit of data in here that's very telling though. Let me just find it here. And it's to do with the ages of people who are actually being involved with this. So basically it goes on to say that the ages of the people that are actually giving this data. So here we go. So 3 in 10 aged 17 to 34 think most are too bright, compared to just 19% of those aged 65 and over. And I think that's very telling, actually. I think part of the problem is that us youngsters, us young whippersnappers, in that age group there, right in the middle of it pretty much, you know, we are spending a lot of our time working on computers, a lot of our time sat at desks, recording videos, making excellent content like I'm doing for you right here, editing videos, and just things like that. You know, we're more likely to work in IT, or at least spend a lot of our day in our spare time looking at screens, TV, phones, tablets, laptops, computers, all that good stuff. And because of that, our eyes are getting quite dry in general. I have found that my eyes are very dry after a day of working. I can't really sit down and play video games, for example, after editing videos all day. I know that's very much a first world problem, but that's just something I've noticed. And I think that's less likely to be happening for elderly people or older people over 65. So I think there's part of that, but it is also the case that headlights are getting brighter and they're getting too bright. And I think as well, they've got to do something about it. But while ever there's no real regulation about it, or at least not any proper ones anyway, these LED headlights are going to continue to blind people, because SUVs are becoming more popular in this country, and I think they're the worst offenders because their headlights are so far up Like, even me in a relatively big hatchback, which I would never call a hatchback because it's massive, but it's so low on the ground compared to an SUV. So the headlights are like beaming down at you. And I think that angle of attack, because that's what it is, it's an angle of attack on your eyes, is worse than if it's level or below. So that's just my take, guys. I want to hear your opinions on this. Are headlights on cars getting brighter? Is it getting worse? Is it a problem, and do we need to do something about it? I think yes to all of the above. And of course, keep it subscribed here to themotoringchronicle.com to see much more video content on the world of motoring and motorsport, just like this.